Today on the show, Peter Higgs joins us on the desk to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of legalising cannabis. Two Birds, One Scone share with us one way we can make a difference in other people's lives. We have a look at busking on the streets of Melbourne, and James comes to us with the latest goss from Hollywood. Good afternoon, my name is Paula Martinez.
And I'm Raquel Martins, and we're coming to you live from Latrobe and welcome to LTYou Radio.
Raquel, what is happening in the world today?
The New South Wales Attorney General has called for a review of the sexual consent laws following a Four Corners program. The New South Wales government has referred the state's consent laws to the Law Reform Commission following a Four Corners investigation into a high-profile sexual assault case. Sydney man Luke Lazarus was found not guilty of sexual assault despite a jury and two judges finding that 18-year-old Saxon Mullins had not consented to sex with him in an alleyway behind his father's King's Cross nightclub in 2013. The federal government have unveiled tax cuts ahead of tonight's release of the federal budget. Low and middle income earners will get tax cuts worth up to $10.50 a week in tonight's budget, which will also include a major shake-up of the aged care sector. Former Treasurer Peter Costello says most Australians will be dead before national debt is paid off. On the eve of the federal budget, Mr Costello said that the national debt as a proportion of the GDP was at about the same level as when he became Treasurer in 1996. He told ABC's 7:30 host Lee Sales, "It took us 10 surplus budgets to pay it off last time. You'd be doing well to pay it off in 10 surplus budgets this time." And finally, Australia's former Prime Minister Bob Hawke was admitted to a Sydney hospital last night. Despite worry for his health, a Labor representative told the ABC the 88-year-old former Labor leader is fine and just in hospital for some minor tests. The representative said his condition was nothing more serious than the wobbles.
That's no good, but I'm glad he's okay. So, Raquel, budget talk. What are you hoping to see in this year's federal budget?
Well, there's quite a few things that I guess there's been a lot of talk around. It'd be good to see them put some money towards some of the big freeways and the rail links out to the airport. I think that's probably something that, as a growing population, we're going to need a lot more of. The roads are have become a lot more congested in the past few years with the population growing so quickly. So I think in the next few years, if something isn't done now to make sure our roads and our public transport is ready to deal with all that, all those extra people, we might be in a bit of trouble. So I might like to see a bit of money going towards that, I think.
Well, absolutely. I think that's what a lot of people are hoping to see. I was having a talk to some people this morning, and a lot of them do say that the proposed train link between the airport and the city is actually something that they would really like to see. That would relieve a lot of the traffic that goes on in those roads. And I think also the Caulfield and Monash train link between between Caulfield and Monash. That would also be great. So apparently that's meant to be around $5 billion. But I mean, it would be worth it. I think
definitely worth it. It's definitely worth putting that money towards.
I think another big thing is the $10 weekly tax cut.
Definitely.
Apparently people that earn $90,000 a year or less are going to be included in that. So that could also be something for people that earn that amount of money, that it could probably
it'll make a difference to a lot of the lower income earners, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the Four Corners story that came out last night about the whole, consent issue. They did have a look at the high-profile sexual assault story of, what's her name?
It was Saxon.
Yeah, Saxon.
Oh, where was her name? I know her first name was Saxon.
Yeah.
Saxon Mullins.
Yeah. So, there is this big debate on the whole consent because, she claims that she was sexually assaulted, but the convicted person or the guy that she accused of raping her disagrees and says, he genuinely thought that she had agreed to that. So
I guess consent can be a bit of a tricky one. People might sound like they're saying yes to something, but they might be kind of, but not really meeting it. And it's a hard one. I remember when I was in high school, they showed us a video about consent, and it was basically someone asking another person if they wanted a cup of tea. And so they were just asking them, would you like a cup of tea? Would you like me to make you a cup of tea now? How about if I make you a cup of tea and do this at the same time? And the cup of tea was meant to symbolise, asking someone for consent. So at the end of it, it was kind of like, well, you wouldn't force someone to drink tea, so don't force them to do something they're not comfortable with. But it's a really tricky one, I think, for the people involved in this particular story specifically, because it's, if he believed that he was genuinely doing the right thing, then
well, he was actually he was found guilty, and he was put in jail, I think, for like 11 months. So, but then they were able to review it, and because it said that he had a reasonable basis to think that he maybe thought he was in the right. So the New South Wales government is kind of reviewing those laws and making sure that if the person doesn't say yes, then any other answer
regardless
is no.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's happening. So hopefully they'll work on that. So moving on, Australian political party The Greens have put forward a plan to legalise cannabis. As they see it, the war on drugs has failed. It is no longer an issue with crime, but one with health. The proposal they are putting forward will legalise cannabis for recreational use for those over 18. So will legalising cannabis be good for Australia? Hard.
Cannabis is the world's most widely cultivated and consumed illicit drug. Cannabis plants can be grouped into two categories: hemp and marijuana. Cannabis seeds continue to account for the greatest proportion of cannabis detections at the Australian border. 34.8% of the Australian population aged 14 years and older reported using cannabis at least once in their lifetime. Queensland has accounted for the greatest proportion of national cannabis arrests. Medical cannabis is made from the Cannabis sativa plant. Cannabis has been shown to relieve pain, and it has anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Patients may be able to access medical cannabis through their GP or if they are taking part in a clinical trial. The Greens became the first party with seats in Parliament to call for full cannabis legalisation, despite criticism from country's top medical bodies.
Well, quite simply, the war on drugs is really a war on people. We need to get real about cannabis use in Australia. Nearly 7 million Australians have used cannabis. Right now, that's a choice that could land them with a criminal conviction, that could impact on their opportunities to get a job. It's a choice that exposes them to more harmful substances. And of course, the people who benefit are criminal syndicates, criminal gangs. I mean, the profits in this industry are huge. We need to take it out of the hands of criminals and put it within a tightly regulated health framework.
Over the past decade, Queensland has accounted for the greatest proportion of national cannabis arrests. Queensland reported for 31.8% of national cannabis arrests, followed by 22.4% in New South Wales and 13.7% in Victoria. However, Senator Richard Di Natale says that the countries that have legalized cannabis have seen a drop in drug-related crime, while many health professionals disagree.
There are medicinal purposes for medicinal uses as prescribed by doctors. But this proposal for open slather has two major consequences. The first is the risk of physical and mental health problems, whether it's psychosis, anxiety, depression or other items which have been chronicled by the medical authorities. The medical risks are real and significant and important. Secondly, of course, marijuana is a gateway drug. The risk of graduating to ice or to heroin from extended marijuana use is real and documented. This action by the Greens risks the health of Australians. It should be rejected and they should withdraw it, and we will oppose it.
Nuantini reporting, LTYou.
We have Dr. Peter Higgs joining us on the desk. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thanks very much.
Peter is currently working as a senior lecturer at LTYou University and working in the Department of Public Health. Peter, you have done a lot of research into the issues of injecting drugs.
Yeah.
How does cannabis compare to drugs such as heroin or methamphetamine?
Well, it's a different kind of drug. It's obviously, it affects the body differently. The consequences in terms of health are quite different depending on the route of administration. So for a lot of the drugs that I do work on, methamphetamine and heroin, they're mainly injected. So the harms that are associated with people who inject drugs are obviously a lot greater than for people who use cannabis, which is mostly smoked, but not only.
I guess from that, how would you compare cannabis to other legal substances such as alcohol? Because, you know, there has been debate on whether cannabis is actually less harmful than alcohol.
Sure.
Why do you think that one is legal and the other one isn't?
Yeah, well, it's a historical accident, I think, to be honest, why it's legal, why alcohol is legal and why cannabis isn't. And to be honest, if today you actually tried to make alcohol legal, I think it would be very difficult. There will be a lot of opposition because of the harms that are associated with that. We know from the people who attend our hospitals at the moment, most of the harms associated with the drugs that they're attending for are alcohol and for the smoking of cigarettes, so nicotine and the associated drugs like that.
Yeah. Do you think it's, I know when we're watching that package just earlier, I was watching you just sort of shake your head and nod your head at a few things that they were saying. So do you think cannabis could be a gateway drug to other more dangerous drugs?
I mean, it's a difficult thing to measure. My sense is that most of the people who use heroin or methamphetamine have also used other drugs, but whether or not you can actually say that they're a gateway drug, we know from listening to the package and some of the work that Richard's been doing for the that 7 million Australians have already smoked cannabis. We know that there aren't 7 million Australians who are also injecting heroin or using methamphetamine. So I think the myth that it is a gateway drug is very much that it's a myth. And there are a range of reasons why people choose to use different drugs, and some of the stuff that comes from is partly because of the illegal nature of the market. So when cannabis becomes harder to get, people might try other drugs because they're in that in having that opportunity. But if we provide the legal market in the same way that I guess the Greens are proposing here and has already working effectively in a number of other countries in the world, then we will probably not see that much of an uptake in terms of the increasing numbers of people who are using those drugs, and people will be able to choose what proportions of the drug that they can actually use. At the moment, if you buy cannabis from your friends or from dealers, you don't actually know what's the quality of the THC, how much is in it. So those are the sorts of things that we can actually regulate by making a drug legal.
Well, one of the points that the Green was making was that, you know, we should actually be taking it off the hands of gangs and criminals.
Yeah.
And
or just your neighbourhood
Oh,
friends.
your neighbourhood friend.
They're not always gangs and criminals.
That's true. But yeah, just doing it. If people are, do you think that if people are going to do it anyway, that it should at least be regulated?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think, and we know that by making it illegal hasn't stopped people choosing to use it. And there's a whole range of reasons why putting it into a legal market, we can tax it, we can regulate it, we are able to do, you're not wanting to make it appealing. You look now at the way in which alcohol is being marketed to young people and to adults, and, that I think really is just the bad way in which we are promoting a drug like alcohol, which we know has lots of harms. And most people don't actually drink alcohol all day. I think the myth that people are worried about it, people use drugs because they enjoy using them. So there's a whole range of things that go on in terms of the way in which people take drugs as part of their normal lives.
And do you think if marijuana was legalised, cannabis was legalised, would it have a bigger impact on the healthcare system? Do you think we'd see more people, an influx of people because of the use, or do you think it would sort of stay the same? Or
it's hard to know. I mean, I think some of the measuring that they've been doing in the US in some of the states where they've actually looked at the way in which legal cannabis has impacted, there is certainly some extra numbers of people who are in car accidents, so they're being found to have cannabis in their system. But we already know that, the fact that the state government now has introduced you're losing your licence at 0.5, that we know that there are already a lot of people who are choosing to use a drug like alcohol as part of that. So there may be some things that we need to be doing around the way in which drugs are chosen to be consumed. So whether or not vaping is a better alternative to smoking joints, whether or not people should be discouraged from mixing it with nicotine from cigarettes and tobacco, whether or not people should be eating it like in cookies or in chocolate in the same way that those are being marketed. And I guess the big thing is how you market that then to children and making sure that only adults are able to access that. It's a very difficult thing. We know that even legalising things makes young people still choose to use drugs or get access to them. So I don't think we'll be able to do that, but it's being able to do it in as safe a way as possible.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great to have you on the show. I think really informative, and I think for everyone out there, if you do have any other points you'd like to make about what we've been talking about, please jump on Twitter, send through your questions, your comments.
Come and do my drugs elective in second semester. I've got a third year subject called Drugs and Addiction, which is all about how people choose to use drugs and really challenging the stigma attached to the reasons why that happens. So that's a fun subject. 200 students last semester.
Wow.
So
that's
come on
way
board.
To get more information, and if
definitely.
you're interested on that, you can either join his subject or
keep listening
on Twitter using the hashtag LTYou radio. Tell us whether Australia should legalise cannabis, and we will have a look at those tweets later on in the show. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So, Paula, as the summer comes to an end, winter's almost here. I think we've got something like 25 days till the 1st of June, the first day of winter. I'm excited. I love winter.
Oh, I'm dreading it.
But it is cold and flu season. I've already had a cold at least twice in the past few weeks, so I'm glad it's gone. But they are coming. The flu is coming. It's something that a lot of Australians now are rushing to go and get their flu shots. But doctors are telling us to hold back a bit, to wait, because, it might not be wise to get them so early on in the flu season or so early on before the season. Right. But did you know there's actually a difference between a cold and a flu? They're two different things. Neither did I.
Oh, is the flu more severe?
Yeah, they're more severe, but we do have a bit of a package just to let you all in on a bit more information.
Awesome. Let's have a look.
So there's just a few little facts about cold and flu. I actually didn't realise that, a cold and a flu were different. I always just, thought it was a flu was another word for having a cold. But as the package did say, if you do get any of those symptoms, the symptoms of a flu are a lot more serious. So you'll have aches and pains. While you'll still get, the runny nose and a cough, it'll be a lot more severe and it will last a bit longer and you'll have a bit more of a fever and that sort of thing. So do check in with your doctor if that is the case. Last year we had about 48,000 confirmed cases of influenza just in Victoria alone. So you can see that there is, it is something that is on the rise. It has been since about 2009 when we had the big, that big outbreak. But that's why doctors are telling us to slow down with those flu shots and just hold off a bit. At the moment, what's happening is people are rushing in to get those flu shots, and by the time the vaccine is peaking and at its working best, the flu season hasn't even really kicked off yet. So they're saying to wait a few more weeks and then get them in about 4 to 5 weeks' time. They're recommending is a good time because that way, when the flu season is at its worst, that's when the vaccine will be peaking. And make sure you don't get sick, which is what we want. No one likes getting the flu.
No. I did know that, it was a bit of a more intense cold, but I didn't realise how dangerous it actually can be.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit scary to think that, the flu...
I mean, there's been really serious cases.
There has been.
It's important that people are also aware, I guess, of the symptoms, because they might think, it's just like a bad cold, but they might not know that it could actually turn into something quite bad, nasty. So
definitely. Well, we often introduce you something a bit more lighthearted than getting flu vaccines. We often introduce you all to one of our clubs or societies here at La Trobe University, and we usually look for some of the clubs that are a bit more quirky, a bit more fun. Our club this week is trying to make a difference in the world and on campus, and they're using one issue to help solve another. They're 2 birds, 1 scone.
Two Birds, One Scone is a charity group based at La Trobe University. Our aim is to reduce food wastage at La Trobe University and feed people who are in need, people who have financial problems or are homeless. We go around the restaurants and cafes of the Agora, collect all remaining. Two Birds, One Scone is a charity group based at La Trobe University. Our aim is to reduce food wastage at La Trobe University and feed people who are in need, people who have financial problems or are homeless. We go around the restaurants and cafes of the Agora, collect all remaining food that they have, package it, and then deliver it to people in need.
So it was our founder, Melissa Lee. So she was actually a former student at La Trobe University. She's originally from New York, and she saw obviously the homelessness situation back at her hometown. So when she came back here, she just wanted to do something to help out the situation here, and that's how she formed Two Birds, One Scone. Minimising food wastage is an important issue because, as far as we know, in terms of sustainability, food wastage attributes to pretty much a lot of greenhouse gas emissions produced in our atmosphere, And also because feeding homeless as well is a really, how do I say, a really important issue as more and more people are starting to become a little bit more desperate.
Last year when we were doing research, I think there was something like 750,000 people in Australia who didn't have access to hot food every single day. So donating food would mean that less and less people go without food every day. I delivered to one of the churches we delivered to on Saturday, and I was just amazed that our whole fridge had been filled up by 2 days worth of food collections, and it's just insane the amount of stuff that would go to waste if we weren't collecting it.
We directly went to them and asked them, look, would you like to donate food to us, and this is our cause, this is where it's going to, and they've been very, very positive, and they've been more than willing to help us out actually. They always try to give us a lot of food, and they even apologise when they actually don't give us food, but really it's totally fine though. We're really solving two issues with our club. One, obviously mitigating food wastage, and one, again, also helping those who are in need. Since the 2 years that we've been operating, and a little bit, I think it's estimated that, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 1.5 to 2, I think it's gone to 2 tonnes now of food we've actually collected on campus.
And that doesn't include, we don't operate during semester breaks or like summer breaks or winter breaks or anything like that, so it's just during semester weeks. If you have leftover food, we're just one of the many organisations that are out there that collect food. So the best way is to contact us on our Facebook page, 2 Birds, 1 Scone. You can message us, we normally reply to our messages straight away. We post on there regularly about how you can volunteer, and we put up photos of the food we collected, so there's information there or a chance to volunteer if you want to.
We have on the desk with us from 2 Birds, 1 Scone, Ollie and Abood. Welcome to LTYou Radio. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us a bit more about the club and what you guys do.
So 2 Birds, 1 Scone is a charity group that runs out of La Trobe University. Our aim is to reduce food wastage and help feed those in need. So every day we collect all the remaining food from around the Agora, from about 8 or 9 different places, package it, and then deliver it to churches who distribute it to people in need.
Wow, that's pretty amazing stuff. Do you guys actually get to go out and deliver some of this food yourselves to people in need, or is it through the churches that they do that?
Yeah, we actually get to be involved with that. We deliver the food 3 times a week, so we'll deliver it directly to the churches, and they'll then hold their lunches and their dinners in order to give it back to the community.
Oh, that's awesome.
Also, they host those dinners and
yeah, that's
people
right.
come to them.
One of the events is Unicare, so that's specifically for students that are struggling, because they're students and a lot of students are struggling. They don't have time to work, so it's hard to have the money. So yeah, it's events like that the churches hold.
Oh, that's awesome.
I imagine it must be very rewarding, hey?
Yeah,
Seeing everyone. Yeah.
That's right, yeah, it's wonderful.
How long has the club been running for?
The club was started 2016, semester 1 2016, so just over 2 years now.
Wow, and how many members do you guys have so far?
I would say it would be around 50 or so, I'd say, or more.
Wow.
We have sort of a fluctuating membership.
Yeah.
I think the volunteering commitment is quite small, so people can really come and go as they please. But we do log volunteers' hours for their sake and for ours. But I would say anywhere from 50 active members to more people that pop in every now and then to help out.
That's awesome. And are you just involved at La Trobe University, or are there other universities that you're involved in?
So it's currently starting up at Monash. getting it up and running there, helping out someone who was interested in starting it up there at both Clayton and Caulfield.
Oh, that's awesome. So another group of people that are going to be doing some amazing work in our universities.
That's right. We are really wanting to spread this as much as we can, ideally across Victoria and even beyond eventually, but it's just step by step at the moment.
Yeah, no,
I guess this is also an issue of minimising food waste as well, because all that food would actually get thrown away, wouldn't it?
That's right, yeah.
So it's like, I guess it's in the title, 2 birds, 1 stone. That's really, really awesome. How many businesses do you collect from? Is it just these ones in the Agora, or do you do more around the university?
Yeah, so it's just in the Agora at the moment. Okay. I think it's 8 or 9 vendors at the moment that we collect from. Bachelor of Coffee, Grain Express, Bacon Bean, etc. They've all been really helpful and willing in helping us. Some of them even package the food for us, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, they're all great. We collect from all of them each night of the week.
And what sorts of food are you guys getting from them?
It's really varied. It's really, really varied. So we're getting the curries from the Indian restaurant, I forgot the name.
Cafe Spice.
Cafe Spice, that's right. And we get pastries, we get salads, we get wraps, we get Chinese food from the Chinese place. So it's really variety.
That's really good. I guess it means people aren't sort of having just the same, the same stuff all the time. They do have a bit of a variety to choose from, which is always nice.
Absolutely.
If you're having the same food all the time, it can, be a bit of a dampener on your spirits if you know it's going to be the same thing. But having that variety and even having some of the pastries and the sweet stuff as well is really good.
Yeah. We also have a lot of vegetarian options as well for those with dietary requirements. Yeah.
Even dietary requirements. You guys have really got this jump at. Do you think there's other businesses in the university or even just outside the university that you'd like to get in contact with and like them to get involved?
So we've actually had some people from Northland, for example, come and talk to us about it. It's just a matter of us being able to kind of go and get the food. It's a bit difficult. One, when you don't have a car, and second of all, by the time we start collecting, they've already closed, so it's a bit difficult. But we're working on trying to expand to other places.
So do you collect daily?
Yes.
Is it a daily thing?
Yeah, every day of the semester.
Wow.
Except the weekends.
So you drop it off every day, or do you kind of? I mean, I guess you'd have to. Hey, so it's like So you run these events every day for the people in need.
So we collect it here at La Trobe in the Student Union Lounge every day, and then we deliver it the following day.
Right. Okay.
And the churches, for example, on Saturdays we deliver to Jika, which is on High Street, and they we deliver it at about 12, and they have their lunch at about 2. So by about 2 o'clock it all goes.
Right. Do you have any events coming up?
Yes, we do. We do. Thank you for asking. We have a second-hand clothes stall that we'll be hosting here in the Agora from 11 till 2. So if you want to come by, have a look through some stuff. I'll be making some scones as well, which are delicious.
Amazing.
And that'll all be just going back into the charity so we can raise some money.
And what day was that on?
Thursday, from 11 to 2.
So can people donate their clothes to you guys?
Yes, absolutely. If you want to contact one of us, you can contact the Facebook page, 2 birds, 1 scone, or you can just pop into the student union, and Abud is often there. He works in the union, so we can hold the clothes until Thursday.
Oh, awesome! I'm actually looking forward to that. I love secondhand stuff.
Yeah, come have a look.
It's always so good to find a bargain. It's
absolutely
so rewarding. And especially if it's going to a good cause.
That's even better, knowing that your money's going somewhere where it's needed.
Yeah, exactly. We're also just reiterating that message of sustainability and reusing what we can.
And in that package, we saw that there are a few news articles and a few newspaper clippings and that sort of thing. Have you had a lot of media attention for the work you're doing?
Yeah, so it really started when we did the Big Idea competition last year. So we got invited to be a part of it last year, and we made it all the way to the finals.
Wow.
And after that, we kind of got some interest from local newspapers like the Heidelberg Leader and the Preston Leader. So it was really good to see.
Yeah, definitely.
People being interested in what we're doing.
And do you guys have any other social media besides Facebook?
Yes, we also have an Instagram. So you can find that as well. I think it's 2 Birds Melbourne.
Yes.
I think, yeah.
So if people want to contact you or volunteer, get involved, they'll contact you on one of those pages?
Yeah.
Is that the best way to do it?
Absolutely. Or we run every night from 5 to 7, and we run out of the student union. So if you are interested, just show up, say hi. We'll be there with the shirts on.
Beautiful.
You can just come say hello, help out.
Yeah.
And It's easy to use that.
Well, I think it's amazing what you guys are doing.
Definitely.
Thanks so much for coming and having a chat with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. Now, Paula, have you got any musical talent?
I play a bit of guitar, but that's about it.
That's very cool. Well, do you make any money from it? Do you
No.
No? Well, there are a lot of people in the city that busk and make a bit of money
I have heard.
from their talent. So why not try getting a busking license and give it a try? We spoke to a group who is doing just that, and they're flying all the way over from Korea to hit the Melbourne streets.
Buskers get a very prominent place among the street performers in Melbourne. Ellie Chong, a 24-year-old girl from Korea, travels the world with the intention of healing people with her voice.
I was just waiting for a friend, and then there was a person who was doing busking in front of me. I just wanted to feel how it felt like, so I gave him some money, like $1 or $2, and I asked him if I can sing in front of people, just one song. Anyway, after that, that guy has introduced me to a team, and that's the start. That was the start for me. If I see the audiences, they're like 10s or 20s, I just sing modern pop songs or K-pop songs. If they're 30s or 40s, I sing some old songs like 1990s or 80s. And it doesn't really matter on the genre. I sing rock, I can sing ballad, I can sing... I sometimes rap too, just to make the atmosphere fun. It was more of a muscle memory. I kept on doing the busking. I never skipped any of the busking meetings. I wanted to be flexible and be natural about that. Busking is more humane. As a viner, I can talk to the audiences straight away. I can see their faces one by one. I can talk to them one by one. It's more of an art group. The name's MAT in Melbourne, Art Talk. There are a lot of people who's interested in art, who's been doing art, who's professional in art. We all gather together and make some meetings, make some projects. The process for us to do the busking would be to get the busking license. But the thing is that as a group, I'm talking about as a group, I'm not really ready yet. I can remember all the situations, all the days that I've done my busking one by one, even a little bit of it. But the first time I did the busking, no, I can't remember. If I'm alone, I do the busking like 2 or 3 hours and that's it. If I'm with the other people, I do the busking about 6 or 8 hours together with them. We communicate each other with an app, Korean app. It's more of a WhatsApp. To keep myself the way I am is my future plan.
That is pretty cool that she's come here and is doing busking and, you know, enjoying her talent and enjoying her hobby and getting some money for it.
I mean, Melbourne is the busking capital of the world. No, I don't know if that's true, but I kind of have heard that it is. There is a lot of people that busk, and you can make a lot of good money from it. I mean, I know that getting a license is quite pricey, and it's a bit of a long process, depending on where you want to do it. You know, I know that on Bourke Street, it is a long process.
Yeah.
I remember when I was like 15, me and my friend were like, oh, we should just suss it out. And we looked and we were like, oh, no thanks.
Maybe not.
Yeah, because it's like, a long process and it's quite expensive, but you can get your money back very quickly because, you know, it's such a busy street.
You see a lot of them as well at like Vic Market, along the strip, that main sort of strip there. There's quite a few people that busk.
Yeah.
When they're good, it can add some really nice, you know, ambience. It
adds whole new vibes to the place, right?
Yeah.
Especially Bourke Street, you know. A lot of people even go to Bourke Street just to have a look at the buskers, and, you know, it's also a good way to get exposure for your music, not just a bit of money, but you get people interested.
When you're a new artist.
There's been a few artists that I've actually gotten to know through busking. I've had a look, you know, they usually have their, like, Instagram or something up. I give them a follow, and now I'm, like, you know, obsessed with them or whatever. So I think it's a really cool way to get started. I mean, just look at Tash Sultana. She's global now, and she started in Melbourne doing her thing. So it's a really cool thing.
Definitely. Well, speaking of music and all things Hollywood, we have our very own James, who has gone all the way to Hollywood to bring us a sneak peek of everything that's happening at the Met Gala, which is, I believe, happening at the moment. So we're going to cross to James in Hollywood.
James, are you there?
Hey! Oh
Hey,
my
James.
god, look,
Oh wait, it's not Hollywood, it's New York.
It's New York.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, James.
Hey guys, I'm at, by the looks of it, the One Tower in New York City. I just came back from the Met Gala.
Tell us
How
all
was
about
it?
All the
that.
fashions. It was fashion on fashion on fashion.
I mean,
I am
it's
loving.
the fashion event.
It's
of
the
year.
fashion event of the year. It is the biggest event in fashion.
I'm loving, by the way, your tux.
Thank you.
It looks
it's
great.
a black tie event, so I thought I would
Suited
pull
up.
out this one, even though it is a bow tie. Still.
So tell us a bit about some of the fashion you saw. Was it hit or miss?
So the theme, so every year there's a theme, and this year was heavenly bodies, and how the Catholic Church has influenced fashion. It's a little bit controversial because the Catholic Church has got a lot of hate
Just a
from
bit.
its recent influences on some people, but overall it is a good event.
I believe you're going to be showing us
Oh
a
yeah,
few
we're
of the
gonna
dresses.
we're gonna review some fashion.
Yes.
Let's
all
do
right.
it.
Let's
I'm
review
excited.
some fashion.
Have you had a look at these?
Nah.
Ooh.
Nice.
I was at the Met Gala, but I don't know. I have not seen any of these people.
Alrighty.
Just-
Let's remind you.
just skip
Okay,
past.
so that looks like Lila Collins.
Yes.
I don't know what she's wearing, but I do like it.
I
She's
don't
wearing a bit of
mind
a
it.
halo.
It is a bit of a halo.
I like the top of that.
I like the black sheer.
Yeah.
Overall, I do like this look.
How is it heavenly? Maybe because it's halo.
The halo. I mean, you can interpret the theme. Okay,
a
so
lot of
here,
ways.
we'll do a little bit backstory. Anna Wintour picks who comes and which designer designs for you.
Oh, wow.
She also picks where you sit and, like, she
So
runs
she's
the
got-
entire show.
She's like the god.
Yeah, pretty much.
She's got control over it all.
So she will not, all the celebrities that you're about to see, they do not have any say in what they're wearing.
Right. Oh wow. Okay. Next, let's have a look at the next one.
Okay,
Oh.
so that's Anna Wintour herself.
Wow. And that's who's that?
B. Schaffer, I believe.
She rocked up. I like the dress.
I do like that red
I
one.
don't really get much heavenly.
Well, she's got a cross.
On her purse.
Oh, she's carrying a. Is that
And there's-
is that a Bible clutch? Oh, I love that.
Maybe that's her little part of the theme.
Yeah,
But she looks really good.
I like it.
Go to the next one. Cynthia Erivo, I believe is our next.
I don't like the makeup.
Of who?
Well,
Mm,
just waiting for it to pop up.
oh,
That's-
technical
There we go.
There we
delays.
go. I like the colour, but I
like the
don't know
colour.
about the big gaping hole in
I
the middle.
feel like
I like it.
yeah. I also don't.
Shows off her abs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the face makeup. Oh, the face makeup. I don't like the makeup.
What's going on with her hair?
I mean, I don't mind the hair. I guess the platinum and purple or lilac kind of go together.
Okay, who's this? Oh, that is that George Clooney's wife?
Yes.
So there's George
Amal.
Clooney's wife. So she was second in command for the. So there's like a board of 3 directors, and she was one of the directors with Anna Wintour and someone else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like this. I think it is. I guess it's just the photo we're looking at because you can't really see it front on. But I
I don't know how I feel about a lot of these dresses now that are having this sort of train that kind of just looks like it's
like the Rihanna train.
yeah, like it's kind of just placed on it. Like it doesn't look like it's part of the dress.
Oh, yeah.
Like this
true,
one,
true.
It doesn't look like it's a part.
Maybe you can attach it.
I mean, it looks like she's wearing bed sheets. Like
doona. Maybe she was
like
cold.
a
She just
doona.
bought.
Yeah,
she
she
just
like
just
put a
bought
doona
doona on
from
and
her
she
bag.
It matches.
yeah, Tom Ford like pinned it in the back or something like that.
All right, let's have a look at the next one. Who do we have?
Ooh.
Oh, Scissor! I love this.
I love that.
I like the boots.
I'm obsessed with that.
Boots
I
pretty
want
cool.
the boots.
Looks like she's got.
Are they boots?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're boots.
I love
like,
the color.
Real
Yeah,
thigh
they're
high
And she's
boots.
also got a bit of a halo going on.
She does.
That's so nice.
Well, thank you for joining us, James. I believe we are coming to
We're
at the
calling
end
it.
of our
Oh,
time.
my visa's up. My visa expired.
Okay, so is that it for James?
No, we've got a few more photos, I believe.
Oh,
Oh.
we're
do.
Oh, we're still
We're
going.
still going to
Still
keep
going.
going.
Okay.
Who's
Who's
this one looks
that?
a bit interesting.
Who is that?
I have no
Misha, no,
No idea. Help Google.
I've never heard that name.
Um,
But it looks like she's got that halo theme sort of around her neck. this
yeah,
time.
like a big Elizabethan.
Yeah.
Or not like big, but that Elizabethan collar. I want.
And a bit of a cape happening.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not su-
want
I don't
sexy
mind.
latex nun. I really want a sexy latex nun.
I don't think Anna Winter would approve of any
Yeah,
of that.
neither do I.
I mean, if it's like an Alexander McQueen sexy latex nun, I'm 100% here for that. But we have not seen any yet.
All right, let's have a look at the next one. Who do we have now?
Ooh,
Is
I
that a
don't know.
bride?
I don't know who
Heavenly
this person is.
Kate Bosworth.
She looks like a nun.
It's like a cream wedding dress.
I don't mind those sort
Yellowy.
of like flecks of, it looks like kind of gold through that.
Oh, okay.
That's not, I don't know. Yeah, see if you look closely, it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
a gold.
true.
It's, I mean, it looks a bit more yellowy, but when you have a really close look at it, it's actually sort of, it's got gold flecks running through like a
I mean, I
tulle.
like it. I don't like the head. I kind of wish the headpiece was like a little bigger. It seems
bit more
like a
flashy.
little. Yeah, I want flash. I want give me spectacle. Put on a show. Yeah, I think the headpiece is a little boring, but apart from that, yeah, it's alright.
But I guess it does give off that heavenly.
Oh yeah, very on theme.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do we have any more pictures?
I think we do. We've got Bella Hadid.
I mean,
Oh.
she always comes in something raunchy.
That's so cool.
Very mistress of the. Sorry, total mental blank. I think too many details.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixed.
Maybe down
sort of
the centre.
textures.
Mixed textures.
Yeah,
Looks like she's got a bit of leather on her shoulders, and then
not my sexy nun, but
no,
still.
not at all.
She still looks so hot. Like, I just think anything she wears, she just looks amazing. But no, I really like that. It's kind of gothic. It's got a cool kind of look to it.
There has been a bit of controversy around the Met Gala this year, though, I believe. James, do you know anything about that?
With the heavenly bodies
Yeah.
theme, because it's religious,
Yeah.
and how people are turning away from religion right now. I think if this theme was done 15 years ago, it would be totally all right.
But now because of all the controversy.
Yeah, with the Catholic Church and all that. Last year's theme was Ray Caburno from Comme des Garçons. And that was a really good theme because I think it's the third time they've actually highlighted an individual and like had the theme.
I mean, I
for
think you
them.
have to have a bit of controversy in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
so-
it is fashion.
Yeah.
Like, someone's already going to be angry about whatever you wear these days.
That's
True.
It's too little, too much, not enough.
I believe we have one more dress to look at. Or not?
Oh,
Is it coming up? There we go. Who's that?
This one is Laura Love.
Laura Love. Who's Laura Love?
I really like that. I'm such a fan of high.
Yeah.
Oh,
Knee-high
okay. So
boots.
this is a tribute to Anna Wintour for her first cover back in 1988, where the model, I can't remember who the model was, wore a very similar. I'm pretty sure this is Gucci. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, there was the look that was meant to be like inspired by the Anna Wintour, like the start of her career.
Right. I really like that.
Well, thank you for joining us all the way from New York, James.
yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to come back home and find out what's going on in Melbourne. there's a lot going on.
I love Melbourne.
I
There's
know.
always something to do.
There is. I mean, all you can meet. I think it said $35. All you can meet, all you can eat.
I mean, I'm a vegetarian, so I'm not.
Okay. You might have a
I
bit
mean,
of
I'm a
troubles
vegan, I'm
attending
not
that one.
But I mean, yeah, I guess there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
The beer festival, Mother's Day run.
They had the jazz festival.
Jazz
That'll
festival.
be pretty cool.
I've been to a few jazz festivals and they're so much fun.
Yeah.
It's just like such cool vibes. I love
It is. Jazz music is amazing.
So if you're keen to do something fun this week, then
There's lots going on.
Lots going on. Lucky you.
So we're going to jump onto our Twitter and have a look at what some of you have tweeted through about what we were discussing earlier around the cannabis legalisation and the proposal that the Greens have put forward. So we'll have a few of those up for you to have a look at. We have one up here. Marijuana is the key to true happiness. Hashtag market legal. Make it legal. I personally have never tried marijuana cannabis.
I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people that agree with this with this statement. I think there's a misconception around the fact, especially, you know, a lot of older generations have this view of cannabis is just like they just imagine these stoners that just sit in their room and just smoke pot all day and don't do anything with their lives, and then they move on to worse drugs and it just becomes this horrible cycle. But I think a lot of people, you know, I was reading actually, I saw a story on an athlete. I think it was an American football athlete that actually would just smoke a joint before a game to like relax himself. You know, he did end up getting caught. And he got thrown out of the league. But he said that it was mainly a lot of the time to actually relieve pain, like muscle pain. And that was his way of like relieving the pain and the stress of the game, everything, and that it would help him to actually concentrate. And he's actually he's joining this. I think there's another guy that's starting the first ever cannabis gym.
Oh, wow.
And so where people can like smoke a joint and then go and work out because you know, they say that it helps you to like really concentrate and like
Well, there are a lot of people, even for medical reasons, people are saying that.
That's
you know,
another thing.
It's for a lot of conditions, they're finding that it's actually helping a lot, like with seizures. It's helping, you know, stop those seizures and calm those seizures down. And that's something that, you know, seeing someone have a seizure is a pretty scary thing. And as a parent, if your child was going through that, you'd want to take that risk and use cannabis. And, you know, at the moment being illegal, it's a hard line for parents to cross. Do they do something illegal or do they help their kids?
Yeah, well, I think, what the Greens are proposing is that it just becomes legal completely for anyone. But that could open the doors for people to be able to use the medicinal cannabis, you know, and just not feel like they're doing something illegal.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of countries, Uruguay, Spain, New Zealand, the US, they've all actually taken that step forward and just legalised it and said, you know, they've almost given up on the fact that, you know, people aren't going to stop using it, so you might as well make it legal and take it off the hands of people that are, you know, doing the wrong thing and for the wrong reasons, etc. So,
definitely.
I think it's not a bad idea. I mean, I guess other people might have different opinions.
Yeah. We've got another tweet. Where is the line? Why not legalise meth? Obviously, there's a bit of sarcasm in that tweet, I think, we hope. I guess there is that question. Where is the line? Do we... legalising cannabis, does that mean we should legalise other drugs that seem to have positive effects on people? Are there other drugs that can have a positive effect? I don't think there are.
You know, what Peter was saying earlier in the show is that, you know, the effects are so... like the negative effects of all the other drugs is so much riskier and more dangerous than the effects of cannabis. You know, cannabis is, at the end of the day, a natural... You know, it's still maybe not great for your health. It depends which way you're taking it. But it's, as he said, he was comparing it to alcohol, and he seemed to have the view that, you know, alcohol is potentially
a lot worse. Yeah.
So, you know, I don't see the harm as much. I don't think that the government will be like, in 10 years, be like, let's legalise meth now or whatever. I just don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think some of those, I guess, those harder drugs, those drugs that we are seeing people come into hospital for, those sorts of things, I don't think we'll be seeing a lot of becoming legalised. I mean, we've got, as you mentioned, you know, Spain the US, they have legalised a lot of the cannabis already. So if we can see that it's working in these countries...
and they haven't moved on to other drugs.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's like, I mean, I can see the concern for other people, maybe people from the outside that don't really know and they've maybe never experienced... like using marijuana, then they might think like, oh, you know, it might be a bit of alarm bells.
It'd be interesting to see, you know, some of the stats around, you know, from the US being a country that's a lot quite similar to Australia, having a look at, you know, the incidents that have come about because of cannabis use since it's been legalised, like if there's been an increase or if it's sort of just stayed the same or, you know.
Yeah, I guess there's that's the question of whether, you know, if people find out that it is legal, then they might be more keen to give it a go.
Yeah.
You know, because the thing that's stopping a lot of people might be, oh, it's illegal, I don't want to do something illegal, I don't want to wreck my potential, you know, job possibilities, whatever. I don't want to have a criminal record. So that might be the one thing that's stopping them from consuming that. And so if it does become legal, then that's the way for them to be like, oh, okay, let's give this a go.
It's okay, I can do this now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. I don't know how that would plan out.
It'll be interesting to see how the Greens and how the government, I guess, goes about making it legal, if they do decide to make it legal, and it'll be interesting to hear more of the debate around it in the coming months and weeks.
Absolutely.
So unfortunately, we are coming to the end of our show. Please jump on Twitter and let us know what your opinions are on the cannabis issue, on any of the other issues we've talked about today, and on anything you'd like to hear us talk about. We are the radio here for you. So we'd love to hear what you have to say and what you'd like us to go out and explore. And if there's any of those festivals or those events that are going on in Melbourne that you'd like us to go and explore, we'd love to find out what they are so we can go and get to them for you. Don't forget our Twitter handle is LTYou Radio. That's LTYou Radio. Hashtag LTYou Radio as well. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, we're an open discussion and we want your thoughts as well.
Absolutely.
We don't want it to just be, you know, the two of us discussing everything all the time. So thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time and we'll catch you for lunch next Tuesday.
Thanks.